know how to manage things properly. You see? We don't know how to provide for so many people. But that's our lack of knowledge. That's our ignorance. That's our mistake. It's not the Lord's mistake. It's not that He creates so many people and then He can't feed them. Well, that's a nonsense idea. He creates so many people, and then He also provides the facilities and resources to take care of them. But we have a situation now where 5% of the population is using 45% of the resources. Of course, that can't last. And it's not going to last. It's already breaking down. The karma has caught up with them. So when we utilize the resources appropriately, then they can last. We can, by good management, we can make them last indefinitely by renewing them constantly. But if we use up unrenewable resources as if they were renewable, oh, that's very bad management. That's greed. That's exploitation. That's actually foolishness, ignorance, because these things can't be replaced. If we cut trees for wood and build houses like these, there's so many here. There's so many managed forests, tree farms, basically, where they cut the trees and then they immediately plant new trees to take their place, and they do it progressively, like 40 acres at a time. They won't cut the whole hill. They'll cut 40 acres, replant it, then cut the next 40 acres and replant it. And so the trees are constantly regrowing. That's sustainable. You can do that for a long, long time if you don't overcut. You see? Or similarly, farming. If you rotate the crops and you sometimes you don't grow any crops. You just have the animals out there grazing and renewing the earth. That's the proper management. If you manage things properly, you can keep farming the same piece of land for a long, long time. If you use dry composting, instead of this whole idea of flush toilets is just so nonsense. First of all, it wastes a lot of water. And second of all, it contaminates the groundwater. Septic tanks always leak. Sewers always leak. Or even in some countries, people just pass stool outdoors in the fields. And of course, there's a lot of disease connected with that. So the groundwater becomes contaminated, and by wasting water, we use up way too much, and the whole thing is such a nonsense. You just take a box filled with sawdust. You pass stool into that, cover it with sawdust. It's called dry composting. And in 6 months or a year, you have nice, sterile, safe fertilizer that you can. Then you can spread it on the fields. First, you have to compost it to get rid of the disease germs. It's just simple. It's so simple. It's so easy. Why does human society have to do everything the wrong way? It seems like they're programmed to fail. I call this stupidocracy. Stupidocracy means the stupid people rise to the top. We see this in the school system, for example. Indira is involved in education, so she's going to really like this. Teachers don't have a particularly high score on their SAT and their GRE exams. The typical profile of a teacher is that as a group, as a profession, they come in something like 18 out of 20 on the graduate record exams. But the administrators who manage the teachers are like even less, they get even a lower grade on the GRE. They're like off the chart, off the bottom of the chart. They don't even show up in the top 20. So the administrators, educational administrators who manage the teachers and professors are stupider than the teachers that they manage. Now, think about that for a second. That means the whole system is set up for failure. It's designed for failure. Law enforcement and politics works the same way. The stupidest people, the people with the least self-knowledge, with the least spiritual qualities, rise to the top. Why? Because they don't think, they're not critical about the system. Anybody who has the least bit of intelligence looking at our political system today will go, man, I'm not getting involved in that mess. That is a forest of illusion. Lies, lies, lies. So no intelligent person is going to get involved in that. Similarly, nobody would want to be involved in the educational system if they had any common sense. It's such a mess. So the really good people don't get involved in these fields where stupidocracy rules. They go out and do other things. They don't want to be involved in such a mess. You know, there's certain industries, the entertainment industry is another one, where you fail upwards, you know. And the people at the top are the least talented, the most nonsense rascals. They rise to the top. It's just impossible. So who wants to be involved with that? Yet, if we had properly designed management in human society, then all these problems could easily be solved. We have the knowledge. It's there in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. It's there in the other Vedic scriptures. We have the knowledge. We can run a peaceful planet where everyone is properly engaged and they eventually attain spiritual realization. We know how to do that. But as long as stupidocracy is the accepted system, it can't be implemented. Not on a wide scale anyway. Maybe in a small community. So that's our positive alternative. We're saying give up stupidocracy and instead start listening to the smart people. Let them run things. They know how to do it. And the Vedic knowledge, of course, is the ultimate source of the practical knowledge of how to do this. So why not accept Vedic knowledge? You save so much time. You don't have to make experiments. We don't need research. All we need is to know what's in the Vedic scriptures and follow that. It's all good. It works completely perfectly because it comes from a higher intelligence, way beyond human intelligence. So.
There's a question from Devesh. Does the realization happen gradually or does it happen at once after going through the process? In the context of Paramatma.
Both. It happens gradually, but then all of a sudden you make a leap. See? It's a quantum process. Just like if you, for example, you put energy into any quantum system, like an atom. You put in photons and many photons, and then all of a sudden the electron takes a leap out to a higher energy state. He said, well, where did all those photons go? They apparently didn't have any effect until suddenly one photon over the line and boom, it goes up to a higher state. So similarly, in spiritual life, we'll work on ourselves, we'll prepare, we'll do sadhana, we'll purify ourselves, we'll do service, and so many years go by. And then all of a sudden, one day, boop, we realize something. Actually, that realization has been building for a long time. Gradually. And then one day, all of the background conditions are there, and we get a sudden insight, sudden enlightenment. But the preparation for that may have taken years. So the answer is both. We don't make sudden progress in the sense of, one time I had a boy ask me in Hawaii, I was telling him, you should chant this mantra. He was going, well, I tried that. It didn't work. I said, oh really? You chanted Hare Krishna? Yeah, I chanted for a whole afternoon. And nothing happened. You know, it's like people are so used to instant gratification, just take a pill and trip out and whatever, that they think the mantra is supposed to work like that. Well, how can it work like that? Because the mantra works by accumulating impressions in the mind. And our minds are already full of so many material impressions. It's going to take some time to counteract those and change your consciousness. But you can do it if you make it a routine every day. How do people accomplish great things? If you look at the lives of great people, people who did something really significant, they have one thing in common. They persevere. They work